Hey guys, and welcome to season 4 of the Yes People podcast. I'm your host Savia Rocks, and in this season, we get to remember and reminisce back in time with some of our guests like...
Hey, we are Entity, and you're listening to
the Us People podcast
with Savia Rocks.
Peace, my name is Oni. I'm a producer-engineer from Queens, New York.
Hi, my name is James Green. I'm a TV presenter, sports reporter and journalist.
Hi, this is Joy Langley and I'm the author of Navigating Stress.
Hey, this is Travis Glossop. I am a creative radio producer for Kiss FM and you're listening to the Us People podcast with Savia Rocks.
We highlight the strengths of our cultures, talking about diversity and inclusion, and speaking out loud and proud about who we are.
I was never that good. I was determined. I had a love for the sport, and that always fueled me.
At 49, I was seven years post-divorce after 22 years and 3 kids of a marriage. And so I knew that I needed to figure out what was happening for me and why was this such a severe sort of crack in my identity and how I showed up in the world.
It's great. I'm glad, because I'll be honest, I didn't really work that hard at uni, so it was good to leave uni and really get on it, really because I also, as a person, I think I value productivity. A lot of people live to work. I think I am one of the work to live guys, but because my work is amazing, that's all right with me. So as a person, I go to bed happy when I've had a productive day.
We've also saved the best till last by honouring another artist and showcasing their talent as our new theme song, with none other than your host, Savia Rocks, featuring in their song. So guys, enjoy, stay creative, and as always, please continue to be kind to one another. Let's go.
My name is Avikal. And I am a mystery that keeps unfolding and that I'm very curious about. An invitation to everyone to really find your way home. Find your way and question everything with joy and fun. And this is Us, the People podcast. Us, the People podcast with Savia Rocks.
Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of the Yes People podcast. I'm your host Savia Rocks, and today I am abundantly humbled to have Avikal here with me, who is the author of Who Is in Beyond Self-Image, a poet and a martial arts artist, if I'm correct. He's looking at me like, whoa.
Yeah, I used to be, and now I haven't been practicing for the last 15 years.
I'm sure if somebody tried to test you, Avikal, you would definitely bring it out of you.
Well, I don't know. Maybe I'm a little bit wiser than getting stuck into a fight at this point.
No, that is true. Sometimes it's not about fighting. I believe there is an energy in us that can prevent us from being even or needing to fight the opponent.
Well, sometimes fighting is inevitable.
True.
Because of certain circumstances. But one of the main things that I've learned through about nearly 40 years of martial arts is that if I can avoid any conflict without losing integrity, without losing my self-respect and the respect for the other person, that's the best way.
I like that. A man of my heart. That makes total sense to me. It's true. It makes complete sense to me. So, Avikal, thank you so much for taking your time to come on the Us People podcast. My first question for you is, could you tell us about your background of where you grew up, but also how that influenced you to be the person who you are today?
Sure. So, Sicilian,
hey.
born in an island of volcanoes, mountains that drop in the ocean, one of the deepest ocean in the areas in the Mediterranean. And I feel that I carry in me all this energetic input Yeah, because I can be all these things, definitely. When I was 11, my father is Sicilian, my mom from Venice. When I was 11, we moved to Venice. And I lived in Venice for about 4 years, and I loved it because a part of my soul was very melancholic at that time.
I like that word.
And Venice was the perfect place. Was just beautiful, and also is a labyrinth. So I would lose myself, in the labyrinth and in the fog, in the canals. So I loved it. Then we moved to another city when I was 15, more close to the border with Slovenia, that at that time was called Yugoslavia.
Yes.
And completely different culture. And I lived there till I was 23.
Okay.
At 23, I left home and I went to live in Florence by myself. Another wonderful, magical place to be. And again, I was there for 6 years. I finished my university. I studied economics. I didn't want to study economics. I wanted actually to be a painter.
Economics painter. Okay, I get it.
Yeah, because, I was good at painting. I loved painting. But my father said, because I had to go away from where we were living before, Florence, and he said, look, I don't think it's a good idea. So I said, okay, I'm going to stay and I study economics because that's what you want.
Oh.
But I was lucky enough that I started university when the student movements exploded in Europe and all over the world, 1968. So I never really studied economics. I basically was occupying the university most of the time, and telling the professors what I wanted to work on, and I was lucky. I was lucky because basically I studied a lot of stuff that had to do with sociology, anthropology, psychology, and economics.
I like that.
I finished my university. I was in Florence, and then I decided it's time to go away from Italy. And I went to live in Mexico for 3 years.
Ooh.
And there I worked as an anthropologist with different tribes for a little bit more than 3 years. I worked with the Mayas, I worked with the Tarahumaras in the north and other tribes. And I was completely into Carlos Castaneda and shamanism and magics and psilocybin and the magic mushrooms and peyote and all that kind of stuff. And I learned a lot. I really learned a lot by being in the field, by meeting with people that were basically being destroyed as a culture. Was really intense and was at times very painful, but on a human level was incredibly enriching. And so I love to be there. But my passion has always been India. And I had been, before going to Mexico, when I was still in Italy, I'd been traveling already to India, Indonesia, Bali, Thailand, a few times. So I decided after 3 years, I said, okay, enough being a professor. At that point, I was starting being a decent, not good, but decent photographer. so yeah, I know. I had a friend which was a very good photographer. So I had a good teacher. And I decided, okay, I'm gonna go to India. And I want to go to Bali, and I applied for a place to work in the university in Denpasar. And I arrived in Bali after a few months in India, and Bali in the meantime had changed a lot.
Yes.
So I felt this is not really where I want to be in this moment. transition culture in cultures like that, sometimes it can be very disruptive. So it felt like it's not the right moment for me to be here. So I came back to Italy, and I went to live in one of the most amazing, magical place in Italy, which is called the Amalfi Coast, which is on the south of Napoli. And I had a house in a small fisherman village. And I lived there for about 6 years. And there I met my Aikido teacher. So I've been practicing already martial arts for a few years, but all the tough stuff. And finally, I got into Aikido and a sword. So I met my Aikido teacher and my sword teacher. My Aikido teacher was an Italian carpenter, an incredibly sweet, powerful, beautiful man, who was living just behind my house, so it was perfect. And the dojo was about 50 meters from my house. And then I met my sword teacher, who was a Japanese painter and sculptor who was living in Rome, and Hideo Kobayashi, and he was another wonderful human being. So I was really blessed that I met exactly the people I needed to meet. And from a spiritual point of view, it was clear to me that a big part of my job, my work on myself at that time, was about finding my roots and my center. I needed grounding because I was very good at going up, and going in the absolute, going into the cosmos, but my feet were not really on this planet. And this village had no roads, only stairs. So I found myself, to go to the beach, I had about 3,000 stairs to go down, 3,000 stairs to come up. After 1 year, I had legs that were like trunks, like an elephant. I was so strong. I was so grounded. That was like, okay, this is exactly where I need to be. So I was there for a few years. And in the meantime, I had already come in touch through books and friends with Osho, that at that time was called Bhagwan. So after a week-long training with the sword, with a Japanese master in Rome, I simply realized that it was time for me to go and meet Osho.
Yeah.
So I went to America, because at that time he was in Oregon, and and the all new adventure started for me. It was like, oh my God, this, first of all, because I for the first time in my life, I really surrendered to someone who was not my lover, because I had already done to a couple of women, but so I really got, okay, I need help.
Yeah.
And here is a man who is speaking to my heart. And I don't need anything more. I don't need to agree, disagree. I don't need to even understand exactly what's going on. I just need to feel that my heart is touched in a way that has never been touched before. So I became a disciple, a sannyasin. And this was in 1983. So this year is 40 years.
That's when I was born.
Yeah, I know.
I like this.
So I've been a sannyasi now and a disciple. At this point, I wouldn't say even that I am a disciple. I'm a devotee, more than a disciple. And 40 years. And I feel that there is something so precious in all this, and And my name has been Samarpan Avikal, surrender and calm. Has been a lamp guiding me through these 40 years. What does it mean to surrender to love, to life, the unknown, to the mystery, to death, to beauty? How do I practice this consciously in day-to-day life? So this has been, and also how can I do this quietly? Because I'm an action person, which means without pushing myself.
Yes.
Because that's what I've been doing for the first 30 years in my life, maybe even a little bit longer, to be really on the edge with politics, with revolution, with drugs, with everything, with sex, with everything. So at some point, how can I take care of my heart? Yeah, that has been it. And in the same time, stay on the edge. And that's where what I'm doing now is actually fundamental.
Yes.
Because at the same time, just before meeting Bhagwan, one evening I was with a friend and in Italy, and I heard myself telling her the most important thing is in my life is to find out who I am.
Yes.
And the moment that I said that, first of all, I was surprised myself to say it. And second, I felt this is absolutely true. And from that moment, everything in my life has been naturally and spontaneously aligning it with this quest. Yeah. Who am I? Who is in? So then I am in Pune in India with Osho from 1987, and I am teaching martial arts, and I am teaching centering and grounding, and then at some point I meet a woman that is leading a retreat which is called Satori.
Yes.
And this woman, Ganga, who is a really good friend of mine, basically invites me to participate to this retreat, which is something that I really was waiting for because I knew that the retreat existed, but it was not happening yet. So I said, of course, I'm going to jump in, no problem. I'm ready. I've been waiting for the last 20 years. Give it to me. And Satori is a retreat where all the participants start with one question. Who am I? Or who is in? One or the other. And once that they go through this question, which means once you have a direct experience, not a concept, not an idea, not an imagination, but a direct experience of who you are, yeah, and who is in, then, so what you call the authentic self,
yes, then
you move to other questions. And my next question was, tell me what love is. So, and that's where my journey with this work happened. And this was about, I would say, 25 years ago. So since then, me and Ganga, we have been often working together, which actually work together once or twice a year. And then I've done a lot of work by myself. And I do these retreats, which can be 7 days, 5 days, or 3 days. And finally, last year, I wrote the book.
Yeah.
You know, and which is Within, which is my book number 5, I think, or something like that. But I was not ready yet to get into this, the most fundamental book for me to write. Because this is really my journey, and it's something that I really needed and wanted and longed to share with people. But how can I share from a place of not knowing? Because this is the basic of asking these questions. If I ask the question thinking that I know, I will not find any answer but to what I already have in my bag, which is the past.
That's true.
But who is in and who am I is only here, in this moment. This is where I can have a revelation. So I was a beautiful trip, a beautiful journey for me to really, how can I write from presence in not knowing? How can I write from this openness to the mystery rather than from knowledge? And I think I succeeded. I think I really succeeded. I got a lot of good feedback from people, from friends, from people that I don't know. And also I can feel it. I can feel it that I was really there.
Your book,
every single word.
Your book is very easy to take in. There are books that I have read which make me feel even more complicated than I did in the beginning. But when I opened your book and I was going through and I got through to the middle, it was easy and I didn't even realize that I was halfway through. There are so many things that I wrote down, even on here, that you talk about, which I'm going to talk to you about in this podcast. But when I had a chance to read your book, it was touching because it was very easy to understand.
Good.
And for me, that means a lot. Having a book that is easy to understand and can make me elevate to another level of understanding myself, what love is. I'm a big person about forgiveness. I practice a lot of Buddhism and stuff within myself. So it means a lot to me to understand it even more from a different person's perspective. So for me, you done a magnificent thing. Success is defined in so many different ways to so many different people. And you are correct by saying that you are successful in doing this, because even me saying to you, I've read your book, I take something from everyone's book. But for you, I felt like I took a lot more because it was so easily to flow through. And energy is important to me.
Really happy to hear that.
So that's definitely something that I took from your book. So in relation to that, I would love to ask you more about yourself in the sense of, can you define, because you've been through so much, can you define who you are as a person, but also who do you see when you look in the mirror? But on the flip side of that question, has there ever been a time where you have looked in the mirror and not recognized the person staring back at you? How did you manage to find the energy, the quantity to manifest for you to become the person who you wanted to be?
Yes. Okay. There are different aspects to your questions.
Yes,
yeah?
very much so.
So, first of all, whoever I see in the mirror is not me. Whoever I see in the mirror is the projection of a particular image which I have been carrying and I still carry inside since I was a small child.
Yes.
And that, of course, this image is being changing, but the relationship to this, and also the relationship to this inner image, is being changing. But I know out of my own experience at this point that I am not just an image.
Exactly.
The image is just what appears. And what appears is based also on my past, my relationship with my feelings, my emotions, my body, you know? and therefore it is very partial. So when I look at myself in the mirror, I don't really get so much interested in what I'm seeing. I'm much more interested in who is seeing.
Yes, thank you.
Like, who is seeing this image? So the energy, because when I look at something, the attention tends to go out. But if I turn the attention from the going out towards the image, towards the who is seeing, then the energy turns towards the subject. And that's where I start again coming back and coming back and coming back. And this takes me to the other side of your question. Is like, have I found something? No and yes. No, in the sense that everything that I find, it's very temporary. It's impermanent. Because everything that I find, in a way, is an object in my awareness, in my consciousness. So, and at the same time, yes, I found, and I keep finding, that there is a presence which is not an entity, which is not an object, which is undefinable in terms of time and space and form and content, which is pure awareness. And that's who I am. And this pure awareness is who I am, and is not mine, because awareness is not a personal phenomenon, is a cosmic phenomenon. Is you, is every dog, is every cloud, is every tree, is everything. So in that sense, the beautiful thing is that I cannot say my awareness. I am awareness. Awareness is though embodied in me. So it has a particular form, a particular story, a particular way of manifesting itself. So in a way, I am a vehicle, like you are, like everything is, of this awareness, of this immense, undefinable field of consciousness. So it's a yes and a no at the same time, because every moment that I go back into looking at this picture, at this image, and I go back into the self, it's completely new, it's completely fresh, because everything is changing all the time.
That's true.
And at the same time, it is as ancient as all the universe. So I find myself into this crossing of time and space, the horizontal line, and eternity, the vertical line. And I'm getting more and more and more acquainted and at ease with being in that point of intersection, without choosing one or the other, because that's the fundamental separation, or spirit or matter. No, I want both. I want to eat the cake, and I want the cake.
You want a big cake.
Yes,
you
definitely.
want a big cake.
Definitely.
Let's talk about leading people to victory. I find this a very important question. The reason why, when you lead a person to victory, is like you are connecting them to find their purpose in life. When you told me that there are people who have helped you in your life to do different things, energy-wise, spiritually-wise, how do you believe that you have helped people and led them to victory in your own way to help them find their purpose in life?
Okay, look, in a way, my work is actually very simple.
It is.
Because first of all, I just share myself. And I share myself from the place of not knowing and not, so I don't have the truth. But I am an incarnation of truth. That's who I am. But for me, the most important thing is that I help people to learn to ask questions.
I like that.
To question everything, to find their own questions, and to stop thinking that there is anybody else that can, or anywhere else where they can find the answers, except in themselves. So it's really, my job is very easy, because I keep basically telling people, well, What is your question in this moment? How can you ask yourself this, and how does it feel? Does it feel right? Do you want to change this question? And people say, well, what do you think? I say, what I think is irrelevant.
It's what you think that matters.
What is relevant is what you experience, you know? It's like direct experience is not something that exists outside of you, exists only within you.
Exactly.
So my job is actually easy, very easy, because I don't have to give any answer. And even if I have to give, even if I give an answer, I make very clear that this is my answer. It's not the truth. It's a relative truth. It has to do with me,
yes.
But it's not a truth that necessarily is valid for other people. So easy. And in the beginning, of course, for many people, it's difficult to renounce the idea that there is a savior somewhere outside.
Yeah.
But after a while, when they start tasting the sweetness of finding their own answers, the beauty of finding their own intelligence and power and sensitivity, then something radically starts changing. And for me, that's the most precious moment when I see people blooming, you know. Like, oh, yes, in the garden again.
Oh, I know that feeling.
Yes.
I know that feeling. Let's talk about forgiveness. I think forgiveness is one of the best things that we can learn to master within ourselves and for other people. How do you believe forgiveness has helped you in your life?
Okay, let me begin with the fact that I couldn't stand forgiveness.
I like the honesty.
In the beginning, for many, many years, forgiveness was a word that was not part of my vocabulary because I was going for the revolution. I was going for breaking down things. I was going for breaking down myself. I was going for taking apart everything that I felt was inhuman, disgusting, horrible, and in some moments I would act exactly in the same way. It's like,
fair enough.
You know, so forgiveness was not in my so much in my book, was more like revenge.
Oh yeah.
You know, also I'm a Sicilian, so it's like we know something about vendetta, you know. And at the same time, something inside was longing for peace, was longing for contact, was longing for intimacy, and fundamentally intimacy with myself to begin with. I was lucky enough that even though I was really barking a lot, the first woman I fell in love with, which was actually, I was 20 and she was 17, she was much wiser than me, definitely much wiser than me on a human level. And from the very beginning, I had to choose between surrender to love or basically leave her. Because she was putting me in such places where I really had to face my mind, my resistance, my jealousy, and all this kind of stuff. And I loved her. So I decided, okay, I'm going to surrender to love. And little by little, something started landing. And also later on, another woman I was for actually a long time was really about, okay, why I keep pushing myself? Why I keep putting myself in places where there is danger, where I risk my life? What is that I'm trying to prove? And there I came in touch with for the first time probably, with my vulnerability. And that's where forgiveness started, because actually vulnerability was like, okay, I didn't go immediately in forgiveness. It was more like, can I accept myself in my vulnerability? Can I honor my vulnerability? Therefore, forgiveness was kind of a outshoot of my vulnerability. You know, as vulnerability started kind of growing inside and feeling more familiar, I felt more at ease with my heart breaking down in some moments. Then, little by little, I started forgiving myself when I was weak, when I was confused, when I was incapable, when I was lazy, when I was angry, when I was scared, you know, and so acceptance and forgiveness, they started coming together. But forgiveness for me was never an idea or an ideological choice, you know, or something that I particularly focused on. It just came by itself. It just came by itself as I started integrating many aspects of my shadow, many aspects of my misunderstandings. You know, and of course, the more I was doing with myself, the easier it was to do it with everybody else.
That's true. That's definitely true.
Yeah. So yes. So still, forgiveness is something that I don't particularly focus on, because I feel that there is no need. The need is more to integrate the shadow. And in that integration, forgiveness happens naturally, spontaneously. I don't need to even think about it.
That's true.
Yeah.
That is so true. What about peace? Because in the beginning, you spoke a little bit about peace. When was the last time you felt at peace with yourself?
Well, it's interesting because one of the things that I teach is the essence work.
Yes.
Which is a map of universal qualities, how they embody in individually. And the black essence is the essence of peace and silence, and actually is my home. It's exactly where I live most of the time. And so peace is a very familiar feeling since I was very, very small. And I also remember how I lost the connection.
Yeah.
Because I had to come in the world and perform and fight and prove myself. But it never really left me, of course, because it's part of my being. So when I start in the journey with Essence, which was like also 35 years ago, my teacher at the moment, which was an Arab man, Faisal Muqaddam, immediately said, "Your home is the black, is the peace essence." And I said, "Yeah, absolutely, of course. I know that place. It's very familiar." And the interesting thing is that peace is also the seat of power.
Yes.
So for me, I was focused on power and I found peace. So how lucky am I?
Well, you found both, and hopefully within that you also found freedom, which you write about in your book also, is freedom.
Sure. Freedom. Freedom. Freedom.
Oh, I like that sigh. That was a good sigh.
Yes, freedom. What to say about freedom? You know, freedom is the best. And okay, my experience with freedom has a lot to do with the intersection of absolute freedom, which has to do with my being.
Yeah.
And there is nothing to say about it except that has always been here, will always be here, is who I am. Yeah. I am freedom. And the relative freedom, which is how my absolute freedom needs also, because I exist in a physical body, it has also to deal with restrictions.
Yes.
So the art of learning how to be free and not lose the connection with my true nature, which is absolutely free, while being honoring also the relative freedom that lives and deals with restrictions. And this is the art. This is basically the art of living. You know, how to put together personal, individual, absolute freedom and freedom within restrictions, because that's the we. That's where the I relates to the other. That's where the I relates to the things. Something that really helped me a lot was when I worked with a particular question which I find fascinating, which is tell me what another is.
Ooh.
This is so powerful, so intense, so magical to see that there is no other. You know, that the other is me. Everything that exists is me. So then freedom within restriction is actually still freedom within me.
I like that. Yeah.
And magical. I work with this. It's called koan. No, it's a question which does not have a intellectual answer. I work with this koan for about, I would say, about a year and a half. Yeah, and it was like, I still, in some moments when I feel that there is even the slightest smell of a possible conflict, I stop and say, wait a minute, what is another in this moment? Is it real that I am here and Savia is there? Or are we in the same moment, in the same present, you know, just the same consciousness with just different forms?
That's all it is.
Yeah, exactly. And how can I love and respect and honor and have fun with that? You know, enjoy that rather than fight against it. Because that's what conflict is about. It's basically reinforcing separation, reinforcing conflict, and making our life miserable. So, do I want a miserable life? No.
I think sometimes we don't understand it, and that's why we try to fight against it. When things are complicated in our mind or our awareness and we don't understand them, we fight against them rather than embracing
Absolutely.
them. If we
that's why
them,
my first book was a book on the inner judge.
Yes.
Which is called Freedom to Be Yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Because at some point I realized that there was this amazing obstacle inside, this psychosomatic presence, you know, of self-judgment and judgment of everything that was making life miserable. Because everything was like, oh, this is not good enough, this is too good, should be different, this should be this way, this should not be in this. It was like, my God, am I nuts that I spend all this time with this crap? So I really put a lot of my energy in the beginning to really explore this inner judge, you know, Freudian superego, which is the similar concept.
Yes.
The Zen masters call it the barking dog. Mm-hmm. And I did a lot of work. I still do a lot of work because we all have it. We all have to deal with it. There is not one personality who does not have a a superego, except some borderline personalities like schizophrenics, for example. But otherwise, we all have these barking dogs inside that continuously, is like, oh, this is not good. This should be there, and this should be like that. Oh, worry about this. Go, oh my God.
He's driving himself crazy.
Totally.
Oh, man.
So this has still is a big part also of my work. I work with people, and I usually do a lot of individual sessions with this. And where we work with, okay, what is it? How are you judging yourself in this moment? What do you get out of putting yourself into this level of madness? Can you recognize it? Can we transform it? Can you do something about it? And most people are really, well, first of all, everybody knows that they are judging themselves and judging everybody else. So nobody is in denial. And that's already a major step.
Yes.
Then, and also people realize, well, all this inner activity of inner dialogue makes me nuts, makes me crazy. So usually people are quite responsive to this, even though it's very challenging, to work with the inner judge, because he is so identified with it. We think that is me. I am the one who is judging. I am the one who is putting pressure. No, I say no. There is a mechanism.
Yeah,
it's automatic. Just start really recognizing the automatism, the robotic attitude, and you will find this is not you. You are the one, and we go back to who is in. You are the one who is aware of the mechanism. The mechanism is an object. The superego is an object. But you are the consciousness that is aware of it. And that's where people start going, okay, well, that's true. No, I don't need to be so hard with myself. Exactly. I don't need to judge myself all the time. I don't need to feel unworthy. I don't need this guilt. I don't need shame, all this kind of stuff, because I'm aware of it. So everything starts coming together, the work with Satori, the work with the judge, the work with essence, everything starts feeding each other. And that's what I love,
If you have worked with some really wise people in your life, if there was a quote that you felt represented you as a person, what quote would you choose, and why would you choose that particular quote?
Well, I don't know if it's a quote or not, but I would say something like, you are all that you are.
I like that.
Nothing excluded.
I like that.
Ever.
That makes sense to me. Yeah.
Yeah, and because that when you recognize that you are all that you are, and that in being all that you are completely unique, you inevitably recognize that everybody else is all that they are, and they are unique, and then life becomes a symphony of richness and abundance and uniqueness. Everybody is such a miracle. And we are so unique. It's like, what to say?
No, it's true. I think a lot of people in life find it hard to understand that, though. A lot of people, because of things that they may be going through, regardless if it's mental health or going through their own emotional, connection with life, they might be finding it hard. Some people find it extremely hard to understand that.
Well, Savia, what I see is that for a lot of people, it's very difficult.
Yeah.
Because we arrive and we are born unique.
Yes.
But then through conditioning, what happens is that our uniqueness gets distorted into wanting to be special.
There you go.
So So then wanting to be special has nothing to do with uniqueness, has to do with a competition with somebody that can be more special than me or less special than me. So wanting to be special is about not recognizing that I am unique.
Yeah.
So I need to prove continuously that I'm special. So I'm constantly in this hierarchical, competitive efforting, trying to prove to myself and the others that I'm special. Uniqueness, you get completely out of that ladder. There is no ladder. You are unique, period. Uniqueness, by definition, is incomparable. And that's where a big jump can be taken. When an individual recognizes, wait a minute, I don't have to prove that I'm special. Yes. I'm not a little child anymore. I don't need mama to love me and to smile at me so that I can survive. I can be a woman, I can be a man, I can be creative, I can be an adventurous, and this is who I am. Then at that point, uniqueness is absolutely obvious. But it takes a little bit of practice and work to take that jump from wanting to be special to recognizing I am unique. Because it's really the jump from wanting approval from outside to the recognition that I am all that I am, which you are the only one that can give it to yourself.
That is true. That is abundantly true.
Yeah.
And
it's wonderful when we can do that.
I'm actually thinking about it now, going, that is actually true. And I've never actually thought about it in that depth of a way before. So that's actually really true. It's like being in competition with yourself sometimes.
Yes. Yes.
I like the way you said yes.
Yeah, well, I know that place very well. Being in competition with myself. I've been hurting myself a lot when I was, a teenager and then a young man because of that competition with myself. And I've been also hurting other people. Hopefully not too much, but, hurting myself, yes, quite a lot.
I think you're a completely different person now.
Oh, definitely.
No, you are.
Absolutely.
I always, nobody else can see you apart from me because me and you are having a conversation, but it's not just about me listening to your words. It's also about me seeing your emotions through your words. And and that means a lot to me every single time I interview someone. So thank you for expressing that in the way that you have, because I have the abundant pleasure of being able to see it. So it means a lot to me. So I would love to.
And I have the abundant pleasure to share them.
No, it's true. That is so true. No, that is so true. I've only got 2 more questions for you, but my second to last question is, after you feel like you have done absolutely everything that you feel you have wanted to do in the world, what would you like your legacy to be in this world?
I never thought about that. And also because the word legacy is a tricky word.
It is.
It is, the legacy is the legacy that inevitably comes through what I do. So comes through words, comes through limited media. What I share with a lot of people around is love, is love and passion and the joy of being alive.
Yes.
That cannot be a legacy. That's something that is already here, and the journey is for people to find their way. So the legacy belongs to what I do, and what I do is is something that might help them or not. That's not in my hands.
Yeah.
No, that's in people's hands to see, okay, this word is actually helping me, this meditation can help me, this remembering can help me. But this is not in my hands. It is in the hands of the divine, of life, of existence. My hands is to just offer something. This is what I can do. And then let life do it.
I like that. That sounds good to me. That's a good motto of life. I think if everyone kind of had that level of understanding, they would find an abundance of happiness within first before it comes out. So I love that. My last question for you is, where can everyone find you on all your social media platforms? And if they would like to buy a copy of your book, like I've had the privilege of reading, where can they actually buy it from?
Amazon.
Right. One word.
Yeah. The book was launched on the 1st of December.
Yes.
So now you find it on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, basically in a lot of bookstores, at Watkins in London for sure, and on Amazon, because I had few friends calling me yesterday, writing to me from India, from Germany, say, go to Amazon, it's everywhere now.
I love that. Oh man, I want to thank you so much for taking your time to come on the Ask People podcast, for showing your emotion, for showing your honesty, but most of all, thank you for just being who you are as a person and showing us that we can all evolve no matter how long it takes, but enjoy the process of it. So thank you so much.
I am honored that you invited me. And I am very happy that we could see each other.
Yes.
That was one of my requests. I really wanted to see you, and because contact, also visual contact, especially for a practicing photographer, you, and the next photographer, me, is beautiful. To have also that visual contact. So thanks a lot. To give me also the space to share myself.
I'm more than happy to. No, thank you so much. I really appreciate you. I really, really do. Guys, I want to thank you so much for listening to the Ask People podcast. And please remember, you can subscribe and leave us a review on Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, and any other platform that you prefer listening to. Please also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And you can also donate to the Ask People podcast by simply going to the Savia Rocks website or typing in paypal.me/Us People podcast. Guys, thank you so much for listening. Stay happy, stay positive, and as always, please continue to be kind to one another.
Gotta keep my energy and peace of mind, peace of mind, peace of mind. I need a solution. Yeah, I'm done. I'm done with her. Yeah, I'm done. I'm done with confusion. Yeah, I'm done. I need a solution. Peace of mind, peace of mind. Gotta keep my energy and peace of mind. I protect my energy and peace of mind. Gotta keep my energy and peace of mind. Peace of mind, peace of mind. Gotta keep my energy and peace of mind. I protect my energy and peace of mind. Gotta keep my energy and peace of mind. Peace of mind, peace of mind. Gotta keep my energy and peace of mind. I protect my energy and peace of mind. Gotta keep my energy and peace of mind. Peace of mind, peace of mind.
People say that having a peace of mind is trying to find a consistency of calmness within ourselves, to crave for a clarity that drives us through our emotional journey of life, to never let a person's judgment manifest into a fear inside of us, learning to believe in our ability to shine through the darkest moments and tunnels when we cannot see the light. Patience being our light for forgiveness and strength, to believe in our destiny. If you want real peace of mind, one needs to stop fighting their inner thoughts and embrace them with love, because love is the most amazing and beautiful strength that we have to conquer our peace of mind. Make your thoughts impact a nation by keeping them true and honest, especially to yourself. But make your peace of mind protect you when you don't have strength to embrace anything else. Find your peace of mind by listening to your heart.
Peace of mind, gotta keep my energy and peace of mind. I protect my energy.
Oh, I'm very happy, and actually, I really appreciate your presence, and also the fact that you were willing to ask me for a delay without any problem, which for me was not. That was actually really good, because it's us people is us humans.
Gotta keep my energy and peace of mind. I protect my energy and peace of mind. Gotta keep my energy and peace of mind. Peace of mind, peace of mind.